All right, we are live. What's going on, everybody? So, as you can see with the title, I am going to be moving a website away from Heroku to Railway, and I want to talk about the reasons why I'm doing this. And essentially, I'm going to take one of my own sites and actually transition the entire site to Railway and host it there. So, I see the chat already active. I see some people have some questions, so that's kind of what I'm hoping to do here is answer some questions. I'm not a Railway expert. I've just been using them for almost about 3 to 4 weeks at this point. So I've done research on them and I'll try to answer what I can. Hopefully everything goes smoothly and I don't bomb this stream. So first thing is the fact that, or the reason why I'm moving away from Railway or from Heroku to Railway is partially because of their free tier plan, but also I've been kind of getting a little bit annoyed with Heroku's changes and so on. I still think they're a great company, so nothing against Heroku. I know a lot of people are going to continue using them. But I have my reasons for doing that. And one of those is the fact that they're moving or they're downgrading their free tier option on November 28th of 2022. So for me, that's an issue because I have a lot of students that are I have a lot of students on my YouTube courses, Udemy courses that I'm really heavily relying on for that free tier. A lot of people don't have the ability to they don't have the ability to practice and learn with a paid option with Heroku. So I'm trying to find another free alternative. And Railway is, that's not the main reason why I'm moving to Railway because it's free. That's just something that's nice, and students are able to at least get started with them. So personally, I think Heroku's pricing is actually okay, but I know that's an issue for a lot of people. So that's one of the issues. Another one was the fact that Heroku actually took away their automatic GitHub migrations a couple months ago, and then they added them back in. So I don't know if that's going to stick around or not, but that's kind of a big deal for me to have that. And Railway just has a lot of options. It's a very simple tool, So that's why I really want to switch over and just kind of show everyone what it is. So I see a few questions here. One of these questions right here right away is it Rashawn? He's talking about Railway's free tier. They did not downgrade from $5 to $2. That's actually something you can change in the 500 execution hours, which we'll talk about. That's something that you can also modify, and I'll try to answer those questions as best as I can. So let's go ahead and just go over what I'm going to do here. So I'll go ahead and move my screen. So this is the Railway website. This is railway.app. I have this website. This is my personal website. Right now, my domain is actually down just because I messed with the DNS configurations. But this is DennisIV.com. As you can see, I have a Heroku domain here. And this is the site on Heroku. And I'm really afraid to reveal any environment variables here. So I'm going to be careful not to show that because I do have a database on AWS with passwords and so on there. So I'm going to be careful not to reveal any of that. So here's my Heroku account here. This is the GitHub repo. So essentially with Heroku, I use GitHub to connect my Django website to Heroku, and I'm going to do the same with Railway. We have automatic GitHub integration and deployment using that tool. So we're just going to go ahead and move this website. So first things first, let's talk about Railway pricing. So what I'll do is just go to their website and I'll go to the documentation. And I want to talk about that because we already have people asking questions, and I'll try to watch the chat as much as I can. So if I go into the documentation here, we'll go into, so we have pricing and plans here. So essentially, if you just want to look at pricing, I won't go over this, but this is their pricing structure. I think it's very fair. And if we go into their plans, they have three main plans that I'm seeing. So first of all, there is a starter plan. This is to get started. You have $5 of credits every single month, and you can use those up. So that's where the free tier comes in. If you have a pretty small site or a couple of small sites, you should be able to stay underneath that. So you can use that without having a credit card on file. Now, the issue with this plan here is that you get 500 execution hours every single month. So what that means is these are real world hours. So let's say I have a service on Railway. That means every 24 hours, I am using up 24 execution hours. So if you're trying to host a Railway website here, let's say you stay under that $5 right there. Let's go ahead and calculate that. We have 24 times, let's say 30 days in a month. That's going to be 720 execution hours. So it looks like you'll run out of those 500 execution hours in about 20 or so days. So there's kind of an issue there. And at the same time, if you have a second service, let's say you have an environment and then you have like a database, you're going to get charged for 2 hours in every real world hour. So that means if you have a database and a hosted site, that's going to be 2 real world hours or 2 hours every real world hour. Trying to explain that as best as I can. So that means you're going to run out of that really quick. So that's that first starter plan. It's nice just to get started, maybe in a tutorial and practice a little bit. And this is kind of what you get as far as the offering here, but it's not really practical to actually host anything because you will run out every single month. Now, with this next plan, we have the developer plan. Now, this one you can actually still use for free. So you still get $5 of execution hours or $5 every single month credited to your account. So the difference with the developer plan is once you verify your account and put a credit card on file, you no longer have that 500 execution hour limit. So I saw somebody in the chat mention that goes away. So you're no longer worrying about those execution hours. You're just worried about usage, the storage and the actual CPU that you're using in space, basically, and that's it. And you should be able to stay underneath that. I've been testing for the last 3 weeks or so, and I'll just look at my usage, and I already do have an account here. I think I'm under, just for the month of August, at 66 cents. So I've been hosting a site, so that's pretty cheap. It's, it's well under that $5. I still haven't had to pay for anything. So that's what I would recommend doing. I know that for those of you that don't have a card on file, I'm trying to look for other alternatives here as far as what they have. But once you do add a card on file, you move up to the developer plan. So you upgrade to it, not by paying for it, by simply just putting a card on file. And that means that anything over that $5 then will get charged to your account. And I see Praveen's asking about the hackathon. I'll mention that a little bit later, or maybe just in another video. So that's a developer plan. And here's the offerings. You get a lot more space, a lot more that comes with it, 5 members to a project. And then if you're really looking to upgrade and host pretty big applications, they do have a team offering here, which really upgrades everything here. And then if you need to scale up and up, you're able to just contact Railway and then they'll adjust to you. So that's pricing. I just wanted to kind of get that over with and compare that to Heroku, because I think Heroku's smallest dyno is at $7 a month that you have to pay. So you're actually doing pretty well here, and you do have that free option with Railway. All right, so let's go ahead and just get to switching our site. We're 7 minutes and 15 seconds into this. So let's go ahead and take this Heroku site and let's move it. So right now at this point, I don't have to do anything with Heroku. There's nothing I need to do in the migration. All I need to do is go to my Railway account here. And I'm just going to go to my dashboard. So if you're following this video later, if I don't make any major mistakes, I'll keep this video up. Let's go ahead and create an account on railway.app. So you want to register for an account. And then once you're registered, you're going to see this dashboard link here, and you're going to see a new project option. Now, when you first start here, you're going to see this alert that says you have $2 of credits or 5, depending on whether you verified with a GitHub account. And then once you add the card on file, that will go away. So that's why you don't see that here. But if I logged in with another Railway account, you would see this little alert here. So don't worry about that. So let's just continue here. So I said continue really weird there. Okay, so we're going to create a new project. We can provision a Postgres database, a MongoDB database. We even have these starters here where we can actually go ahead and just provision a Django project, and it's going to give us an entire template to a Django project. So we're not going to worry about this one. We'll just back up here, and we're actually going to restart. We'll create a new project. And I'm going to do deploy from GitHub. So my website is currently on GitHub right here. That's how I connected with Heroku. I already mentioned that. So what we're going to do here is we'll just go ahead and go to configure with GitHub. And it's going to go ahead and ask me for my GitHub account. If you haven't already done this, it's just going to walk you through this process. I already am connected here. I'm just going to need to go ahead and confirm my account here, and then go ahead and connect the repo that I want to provision here. So we'll just go ahead and select one. So I'll just do my personal website. I have my personal website somewhere here. In fact, I think I already have it as available. So you'll want to select the website. And I was just testing things out here. So this is the repo that I want. It's already connected. So what I can actually do is go back here, deploy from GitHub, and find that. So this is my personal website, and I'm just going to do deploy now. So it's as simple as that. It's actually going into that GitHub repo, and it's deploying the site right now. So let's go ahead and go into this project. So this is the project right here. It's initializing it, and it's trying to deploy it. Now we're going to run into some errors because, one, with Django, I haven't added in the domain name for the allowed host. Railway is going to create a domain just like we did with Heroku here, where you have my name and then herokuapp.com. So we need to add in that allowed host, and then we also need to configure some environment variables because I am going to get that error. So right now it's deploying it. While we're doing this, let's go back into our dashboard. So, oh, that's not done? I hope I didn't restart that process. No, it's not there yet. Okay, so right now it's called web and I see this random name here. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and modify my environment while that's happening. So I'm just going to go ahead and do, we'll just do dennisiv.com. And again, this domain is not going to be live right now just because I messed with the DNS configuration. So I'm just changing the name here. I can actually modify my project name. I'm waiting for that deployment. Let's see these logs here. It should take about a minute. So it's just going through and running through the installed apps, just like Heroku does, where it installs everything from requirements.txt. It's trying to provision the website. Okay, so while this is happening, I'll just watch the chat here. Okay, actually looks like it deployed. No, still deploying. Okay, let's give it some time. So I see Tadas, Francesco are all in the chat. This is partially because Heroku won't be free anymore. Honestly, I've been kind of tired of Heroku for a while. Again, I don't want this to be an attack on them because I think they're still a good company. I just don't really like using them as much. Okay, so this is my site. It just got deployed, and this is my domain name. So if I go to settings, I can actually create a custom domain name. If I didn't get this right away, I can actually go ahead and have it generate one for me. And then I can also add in my own custom domain name. So if I want to do this, let's say I want dennisiv.com to point to this. We'll go ahead and add the domain, and I won't work on the DNS configuration here, but my domain is currently on GoDaddy. So what I would do here is just take these values, go to GoDaddy, or maybe you're using Namecheap, and I would just simply configure that. So that's the custom domain, but let's go ahead and check out our live URL here. So it's web-production and then -f564.up.railway.app. Okay, so we're getting an issue right now, and that's because a few things are not configured here. So first of all, we have these environment variables right here. So I have not configured my environment variables. What I'm going to do is go ahead and grab them from my Heroku account, and I'm going to do this off screen. And I'm just going to go ahead and add every single environment variable that I have. So for example, we would see something like DB name. So this is to my AWS RDS instance, and then we would have the URL right there. We would add it. And then I can go ahead and add more environment variables and so on. So we'll take care of that right now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to hide this. So for a second, you're just going to have to look at something else here, whatever's on screen. So I'm just going to leave it right here, and I'm going to connect those environment variables. So remember, in Heroku, this is inside of settings and then reveal config vars. That's where I can open them up and actually see all those variables. So I'm going to do that right now. So give me 1 second while I configure all of that. And then they're going to be hidden. You're going to see the stars just kind of block out the actual environment variables. So I'm just going to make sure you don't see any of that. So this is going to take a minute because I have about 6 of these. So just give me a second here. Bear with me. Okay, so actually what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and hide my screen here. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. So you'll just see my face while I'm doing this. So I guess this is the downside of a live stream. I can't just do this real quick here or pause it and then edit it. Okay, so I'm just getting my AWS access key for my S3 storage. That's where I'm storing all my static files. We're throwing that in. Then I'm just going to go ahead and grab my AWS secret key. You'll see these variables in a second, just not the actual value. Okay, and if you don't have environment variables, then you're not going to have to do this. That's something that is very specific to my account, but there's a good chance that if you're hosting on Heroku, you probably have some kind of Postgres database or something like that that you'll need to connect to, or any other environment variables. So as I update each environment variable, it's actually going to go ahead and redeploy my site. So the changes will happen automatically. At least that's what I'm assuming is happening. Yeah, it looks like that's correct. So I don't have to try to redeploy it after. Okay, so just bear with me. Okay, and I'm almost done. I have about 3 more environment variables that I'm transferring, and you'll see those right now. Okay, give me a second. I hate doing this off screen. It kind of kills the flow of the stream, but you gotta hide my personal information. Okay, so let's go ahead and hide those variables, and I'm going to share my screen again. So give me a second. Let's move this over, and I'm bringing my screen back into frame. Okay, so what I just did here is I actually took all these environment variables. You can see that they're hidden right now, but I took my AWS access key, my AWS secret key, host, database name, and so on. So I just have these configurations for my personal website. And I took all of those from here in this Heroku section from my app. So I did that. Now, the next thing I need to do is go ahead and configure my allowed host. So I'm just going to take this domain right here that Railway gave me, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. Let's just click on that, copy it, and then we're just going to move to my GitHub repo. And instead of doing this locally, what I'm going to do actually here is just go ahead and go into my settings.py file, and I'm just going to edit it right here. Again, this is all relative to how you have this configured. Maybe you're not using Heroku or not Heroku, but maybe you're not using a Django website. You're using something like Node.js. That's up to you. So whatever you need to do here, go ahead and modify that. So we're going to take this Railway domain, and we're just going to throw that in here into allowed hosts. I also could just do something like this, but it's not recommended, where I just do star. Not recommended for many reasons there. But once I do that, I'm going to commit those changes. And let's go ahead and just see what happens here. So if I go back to my Railway account, we're seeing that another deployment is happening. So we're going to give this a second. Once that's ready, my site in theory should be live. And then we'll go back to learning more about Railway and using their CLI tools and checking out the logs there. So I'm going to watch the chat here. Let's see, Francesco here. Thank you for being in the chat. I think you just did another 12-hour live stream yesterday. You're a crazy guy. Oh, by the way, I'm actually hosting a hackathon on Wednesday, at least a day or two from now. Francesco will be one of the judges there, representing daily.dev or daily dev, whatever they call it. I know they wanted to change the name a little bit. And I'm also adding a Django aspect to that hackathon. Essentially, Django students who have been a student of one of my courses lately or within the last 2 years or so, all you need to do is submit a receipt to one of my courses and submit a project, and you will have a chance to enter $1,000 or win $1,000. So I'm going to make an announcement for that. I already did that in my YouTube community post, so go ahead and check that out. There's a link for that if you want to win $1,000 as a Django student. So I specifically tailored it to students and not professional developers, so people have a chance. I don't want people that are really good at this competing with people that are just learning. Okay, so we'll give that a minute. Still deploying. Get a chance to drink my coffee. Let's see. Got spoilers here. Railway's faster than Heroku on the free tier. Yeah, it seems like it. I'm going to say that right now. I can't vouch for anything yet. So, okay, if I go here, I have to use that domain that they gave me. So we're just going to go ahead and use this one. And here we go. This is my site. It's hosted on railway.app. What I'm going to do is post that in the chat. If you want to check it out, that is the site. That's how simple it was. So we started off about 7 minutes. That took about 10 minutes to do while still waiting for all that. That's all you have to do. It was really that easy. You just simply connect to the GitHub repo. You deploy that, generate your domain. And in this case, I had to update my allowed host, some environment variables. So that really took up most of the time, but that's as simple as it was. Really easy to do. So right now, if I'm making any changes to GitHub, those automatic deployments are going to happen. So let's go ahead and talk about Railway. And that's it for the actual tutorial part of the video. I want to answer some questions and see what we can learn. So I want to try to go into as much as I can. I see Matt Sichterman. Sorry, Matt, by the way, I got your name wrong last time. I said something completely different. Good to see you in the chat. So right now I'm going to go into the Railway documentation. So they do have their CLI here, and there's different ways you can actually use Railway. So I would highly recommend checking out their documentation. They're definitely a newer company, so they're modifying quite a bit here. But if we go into their CLI, they also have a CLI tool like Heroku does. Railway is really easy to install. If you're using NPM, you literally just run this command here. So to use a CLI tool, I'll just go ahead and do this from scratch here. We'll just go ahead and CD into my desktop here. I'll zoom in, and we're just going to do npm i-g at Railway CLI. So this is what's going to install my Railway CLI. It's really easy to use. So once I do this, this is just going to give me more functionality and more capabilities of work with my project without having to just work from their interface. So once I have this CLI tool installed, I can just go ahead and actually go into Railway. So I'll do Railway login, and this is how you log into the Railway account. So right away, it's just going to go ahead and say enter any number. So just press enter, or hit something on the keyboard, and this is going to log me in so I can close this out. And I am now logged into my Railway account. So there's a few commands that I actually saved for this. And let me just pull some of these up here. So we'll just do Railway list, and this should pull up all my environment. So it looks like it created an environment called accidental punishment. It's funny, it always randomly generates these names. So I'm actually going to change that environment name right now. So we'll go into my Railway account, and let's go back into my dashboard. Let's refresh it because I should be able to see that. So this is the environment name. So we'll go back in here, and I just want to modify this so I can go into settings, and we'll just change this to Dennis website. So we'll change the environment name to that. So we have a project ID, which I'll probably actually hide because that probably shouldn't be open. Not sure how dangerous that is, but I'll just make sure to delete this environment after the video. So we have that. I updated it. And now if I do Railway list, I might have to re-log in. Okay, so there is my environment. So let me try to remember a few commands here. I just need to pull up some of these shortcuts. So first of all, if I want to go ahead and check out my logs, I can actually do Railway logs. And this will, one second. This will just go ahead and let me know what's going on in my logs here. So right away I see a failed deployment, which I did not see at first. My wife just threw my rabbit into the room. Oh, he just went away. So that's, anyways, it's a little distraction here. Okay, so where was I? Okay, the Railway logs here. Okay, so let me just figure out what I was doing here. So we'll go back into my Railway account. Got completely distracted. And I'm just going to go into the logs here, and I don't see any issues. So I don't know why it's showing that. It's telling me everything went correctly. But that's how you can see your logs, just by doing Railway logs. Okay, so let me try to find a few more commands here. So if I want to get some help here, so we'll do Railway help. And this is going to tell me all the commands that I have. So I can create a new project, connect to a database, delete projects. I can actually link up to projects, push projects, and so on. So let's do Railway list. I think that's the one I wanted to. Or was that the first command I ran? Yeah, I already ran that. Anyway, so that's kind of the idea here, is you can connect to the Railway CLI. I'll make some other videos on that right now. I'm a little bit fresh with it, and I'm facing a distraction. So let's go ahead and just answer some questions. Go into the chat. I'll see if anything else comes up, and I'll try to just get everyone introduced to this. So let me pull up the sidebar here. All right. So you need to connect to a project first. Yeah, I just see people talking. I want to see what's for me here. Make a video on AWS RDS pricing model. So you can actually deploy databases with Railway. So if somebody wants to see how simple that is, we won't go into databases, but what I'll do here is I'll go into my dashboard, and let's say I want to provision a new Django project from scratch. So I don't want to have to take a project that I already have built. I just want to create a completely new one. So what I could do is go into my environment, and I'm just going to go ahead and do new, and I'm just going to grab a starter here. So we'll grab a starter, and I could actually go into Django. I'll just look it up. They have a bunch of different starters. I should be able to go to Django. Okay, I thought I saw Django here. Maybe it wasn't a starter. Let's try that one more time. You have empty spaces, databases. So provision a Postgres database, very easy, just like that right there. Let me try to create a completely new environment. Maybe that would be of help here. So deploy a starter. I know for, okay, here we go. So I see Django here. So if I go to Django, this is actually going to provision a completely new Django environment for me here. So it's going to go ahead and create that for me. This is the name, Django.py. Repo name is not available. Let's just throw in one secret key. Let's just do Django secret key generator. We'll look that up. We'll grab a random secret key. Once this finally works, apparently my computer is being slow. Okay, so I'm going to close out the Heroku account. I don't need the Heroku domain anymore, and I'll just point that live domain to the Railway app here. Did I just lose service? I'm still live. For some reason, that website's not working. So it's just asking me to configure that. I'll make this a private repository, so I don't want that to be public. All right, so we're going to generate a secret key. This is my secret key. We copy that. We'll throw that into our secret key section here. We'll do deploy, and that's going to take a second. What it's going to do is it's actually going to connect to my GitHub repo or my GitHub account. It's going to generate a new project for me, and then it's going to deploy it. So it gives it a name right here. That's the environment name. It's creating that. And if I go into my GitHub account here, let's go into my GitHub account, and then we'll go into repositories. So this is that new project, Django Pi 1. It just created this, and this is going to give me a boilerplate Django project. So Railway just generated all this. You can see that 17 seconds ago. Very easy to do this, and just gives me some information about that project itself. So I see Francesco's leaving. It was good to have you here. Take care, Francesco. Okay, so that's deploying. It's going to take about maybe 30 more seconds. We'll let that finish up. We'll view this, and then I'll go into the chat here. So all right, looks like a lot of people are just communicating with each other. Railway does have a free tier. They give you $5 every single month. If you add a credit card on file, that's going to be the better version of that free tier. Okay, so let's see. Cool. So I don't see too many questions. Go ahead and ask those questions, because once this is deployed, we will end the stream. And that'll be it for today. So this is my new Django project. I can click on that live link, and this is my Django app. What I could do is just go ahead and clone it locally and start working on it and get things going. So what it does for me is it automatically creates an account for me, or it creates a Django project. It goes ahead and creates an app for me. It connects that app, and it even connects all the URLs here. So if we look at urls.py, it already creates a default view for me, which is really nice. You can go ahead and get started, and it takes a couple seconds to do that. And that's the application that Railway gives me. Okay, so someone saying hello, Dennis just joined from South Africa. Good to have you, Alfred, here. Awesome. Okay, I think we are good. I do have another video on Railway deploying a Postgres database. That also is very quick and easy to do, and I'm probably going to take my personal database from AWS and actually move that to Railway, because they make that very easy. So that's it for this stream. Didn't want this to go on too long. This video will be posted. It will be posted, and it will be on my channel, so I'll leave it there. And all right, that's going to be it. See you all later.